Multiphonics. Multiphonics is a way on the saxophone of playing multiple notes at once. There are a few books that outline hundreds of different fingerings for different note combinations. However, we shouldn't think about them as chords as you would play them on an organ, for example. They're more parts of a spectrum or part of multiple spectrums that can coincide at the same time. To learn more about the theory of it, it's best perhaps to read the book, for example, by Marcus Weiss and Giorgio Netti, called The Techniques of Saxophone Playing. It outlines the different kinds of multiphonics. Today I just wanted to show you how they can be put into practice and what some of them sound like. I'll be making separate videos, 4 videos for alto, soprano, tenor and baritone saxophone of all the different multiphonic fingerings that are in that Techniques of Saxophone Playing book, and you can hear each of them and how they react to slap tongue, flutter tongue, how the spectrums can be used individually. I'll go through every one of those multiphonic fingerings. But for now I just wanted to talk about different ways of writing them, best practices for making it clear and easy to understand for the performer. The most important thing is to write the fingering for the multiphonic next to the multiphonic where it appears in the score for the performer, not the number from the book. That book's for you. When we're playing a score, we want the fingering right there next to every iteration of that multiphonic. Use the type of fingering chart that is in the Marcus Weiss book. It's the best one. It has the 6 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the names for the other keys. Don't use the fingering charts that have all the little pictures of all the keys. It's impossible to read. Use the one that's in the book. It's the easiest, it's the clearest, it's the simplest. The other thing is to write really the notes that you want to hear in the part, in the score for the performer, so that they know what notes to bring out from that multiphonic. If you just write the fingering and write an M on a stick, there are a bunch of different ways of playing every multiphonic using voicing. Check out my video on voicing to learn more about that. But to give you an example, let's take number 12 from the Marcus Weiss Giorgio Netti book. All those different possibilities are in there, which is great. It means you can use them and you can really write out detailed scores with the pitches that you want where you want them, but it does mean that you need to do that. If you don't do that, you'll get something random, or you'll get whatever the performer thinks you want, or the thing that they can get out the easiest. It won't necessarily be what you want. The different notes in the multiphonic can be brought out, brought back in. The different partials can come out and in. They can be joined together. You can have them all begin at once and fade away just to one of them. Watch the video where I go through each of those different multiphonics, and I'll try and show the different colors and shades of each of them to show how they can be used really effectively. Here's an excerpt from the alto saxophone part of How Forests Think by Liza. You can see that she's put the fingering for the different multiphonics right there, and those fingerings can be held through on the different notes, even though there's only one note sometimes at a time. That note is still within the spectrum of those fingerings. So in this excerpt, for example, I'll be using that first fingering right from that B in the middle of the stave all the way through to the next multiphonic fingering with a B quarter tone sharp and F sharp. And so she's begun with one of the notes from the multiphonics, and using that spectrum it slowly comes out, and then she stays on one of those higher notes and then brings that spectrum back in and then changes to a different fingering. That's really effective writing using multiphonics. That's a good example on how it can be done. Multiphonics can be combined with other techniques, for example slap tongue. Flutter tongue. A lot of the time multiphonics in the past have been used as blocks of sound, but we can be a little bit more subtle about it. It is obviously possible to use some of the multiphonics that speak really easily as blocks of immediate sound, but there are more subtle ways to use those multiphonics as well. For example, with those same two fingerings. you can have a whole different effect. So it's really up to you how you use them, and it's up to your imagination what you can do with them. The books with lists of fingerings perhaps don't give a great idea of how easy or hard or how strong certain notes are in each of these multiphonics. That's why I'm going to make 4 videos for each of the 4 main saxophones, going through all of those different fingerings so you can hear them in practice, and from there you can transcribe your ideas using the different notes available within them. Something to take note of while watching the videos is how fast they speak, for example. A multiphonic that takes a little bit of time for all the notes to appear perhaps isn't a great choice for something where you want a lot of repetition, articulated passages where they are supposed to speak very quickly. Some of them will only work at softer dynamics, some of them will only work at louder dynamics, particularly ones that involve lots of the high notes. Some of them will be a little bit fluffy with a little bit of air sound. Sometimes you have to do a bit of gymnastics with your embouchure to get them to work. That all makes up part of the complex sound world of multiphonics. They're really not chords, they are spectrums. Another reason it's really important to write the pitches in the score is because perhaps the fingering that you've found doesn't work great with the model of saxophone that the performer has, and they'll have to find a different variation of it. That will be possible if you have the notes written in the score. They'll be able to find those pitches or an approximation of them on their own saxophone. Most modern saxophones work pretty much the same way, and you shouldn't have any trouble, except maybe with some obscure multiphonics that you should perhaps work on with your performer. Older saxophones, maybe vintage saxophones, anywhere up to the 1950s and 60s, you may have problems with, but I would say most performers working on contemporary music would be playing on modern saxophones. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be putting those 4 videos up very shortly, and you can look through. I'll have the numbers in the corner so you can go through and find the multiphonics that you're looking for with the notes that you like, and you can check out how they react, how they work. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more exciting videos like this one. Comment the name of the piece you're working on so we can come and check it out. And thanks again for stopping by.